for 2022. High speeds, high tension, high drama guaranteed. It's time to race in MotoGP. Coming up in MotoGP, Fabio Gianantonio delivers a big shock to claim a maiden pole. It's an all-Italian front row for the first time since 2016 with Bezzecchi Marini second and third. After his Le Mans DNF, Pecco Bagnaia looks to bounce back in style from fifth. Fabio Quartararo defends a slender 4-point lead at the top of the World Championship from sixth. So good afternoon and welcome back to magnificent Mugello. It's round 8 of the 2022 MotoGP World Championship. And you join us here live for a very special parade lap here, an honour lap by a MotoGP legend, Max Biaggi, the 4 times 250cc world champion. There he is on the motorcycle, the famous Aprilia RSV 250, which took him to the world title in 1994, 1995 and in 1996. The Italian fans loving this special moment. Great to hear the sound of the old two-stroke 250 reverberating around the spectacular Tuscany mountains here in Mugello. What a rider Max Biaggi was throughout his illustrious career. 4 times 250cc world champion, one of the best 250cc riders we ever saw in history, wasn't he, Max Biaggi? The Roman Emperor, of course, as he was known, starred in the famous rivalry with Valentino Rossi, a double world superbike champion, one of only 2 riders to win a Grand Prix title and a world superbike title with John Kaczynski. 13 wins in the Premier Class. He won his Premier Class debut in 1998 at Suzuka, a feat that has not been repeated. What a rider Max Biaggi was. He became the 34th rider to be inducted into the prestigious and coveted MotoGP Hall of Fame in a special ceremony here on Friday. Great scenes here then, great memories being evoked here by the current Aprilia ambassador. What a shot that is. Massimo Rivola, he was one of the first big superstars of the Dorna era, wasn't he? Max Biaggi. Massimo Rivola there waving the big flag, the current Aprilia Racing CEO. Great scenes then for Max Biaggi here then. What a moment for Biaggi.
Really good moment, really cool moment. If the 1990s in the 500cc class belonged to Mick Doohan, in the 250cc class they certainly belonged to Max Biaggi, a 4-time champion in the intermediate class. And if anyone deserves their place as a MotoGP legend in that Hall of Fame, it is Biaggi. You can see Lorenzo Savadori there of the Aprilia factory team waiting to congratulate Max Biaggi. You can see, of course, a MotoGP Spec Aprilia there waiting for the Italian legend. And you cast your mind back to some of the great battles that we saw with Valentino Rossi, who himself has been honoured this weekend with his number 46 being retired. The story, the tale of Valentino Rossi's magnificent career would not have been what it was without the brilliant rivals that he had, the likes of Marc Marquez, Casey Stoner, Sete Gibernau, and without question, Max Biaggi. Some of the iconic battles, including here, between the great Italians. And Max Biaggi can officially now be called, although I'm sure we've all been describing him as it for years, Max Biaggi is officially a MotoGP legend.
Yeah, special scenes then there for Max Biaggi. It's been a great weekend for Italians here in Mugello, with Valentino Rossi's famous VR46 number being retired officially. But there's some breaking news, some unfortunate news to bring you if you're joining us for the first time this weekend. This will be the last appearance potentially in 2022 for Marc Marquez, the Repsol Honda rider, the 8 times world champion, of course, as he said, taking an enforced injury hiatus. He announced in an exceptional press conference yesterday here in Mugello, immediately after Moto2 qualifying, that the ongoing problems with his right humerus bone, which he first broke, of course, and badly damaged in that crash in the season opener in Jerez in 2020, there's a lack of movement in that right arm. He's been consultating with world specialists in America and in Spain. The outcome is that Marc Marquez will step aside from active competition in the MotoGP World Championship for an indefinite period. He heads to America on Tuesday for a 4th operation on that recovering right humerus bone. All we can say from everybody connected to MotoGP is the best of luck to Marc Marquez in his recovery process.
So all eyes on this young Italian then. What a front row of the grid we have for the Italian Grand Prix. Certainly an Italian flavour to it, because we have 3 Italian riders on Italian motorcycles starting from the front row of the grid. An exhilarating, thrilling qualifying session yesterday, which led to Fabio Di Giannantonio taking his first ever MotoGP pole position. This is his teammate Enea Bastianini, who starts from 10th on the grid for this afternoon's Grand Prix. But as far as the Gresini Racing team are concerned, with their Love and Peace livery for this weekend, they're certainly expecting to make some noise in the Grand Prix here this afternoon, and it's Enea Bastianini who probably carries their greatest chance of winning this afternoon's Grand Prix. He is one of a trio of riders who've been identified up and down this grid as one of the riders with the superior race pace. Can Bastianini make it 4 victories from 8 starts here on home soil here this afternoon?
Well, it's an old Ducati lockout of the top 5 on the grid for this 23-lap Oakley Grand Prix of Italy. 28 minutes we are away from the race start. Can this man continue his outstanding start to 2022? Aleix Espargaro, who would have believed this coming into the new season back in Qatar in early March, coming to round 8, the home Grand Prix for the Factory Aprilia team here in Nawale. Aprilia leading the team championship for the very first time in their history, and Aleix Espargaro just 4 points behind championship leader and reigning world champion Fabio Quartararo. 3 consecutive third-place finishes for Espargaro in Portimao, Jerez and in Le Mans. That's why the pressure is building in terms of the points on this man, Fabio Quartararo, who's got work to do coming from the back of the second row in 6th place. Pole, of course, here last year in 2021. He did take a victory here that set him on course to win the Premier Class World title last season, but with an armada of Ducatis to negotiate ahead of him, Fabio Quartararo has his work cut out to defend his honour here in Mugello.
He's generally been around 10 kilometres an hour down on this start-finish straight to the fastest of the Ducatis. So Quartararo will be looking to try and make his way past those rookies on the front row of the grid as soon as he can and try and get some clear tarmac. Bagnaia will have the same target. Francesco Bagnaia, who has a special helmet this weekend. You can see just on the top of it, it's sort of air display style design on the top of Pecco Bagnaia's helmet. That is in tribute to Ducati, also to the Italian Air Force and the Frecce Tricolore as well. So that's the story behind that. Speaking of special helmets, it's Scary Mugello. Marco Bezzecchi clearly likes his scary movies. He told a Hollywood tale himself in qualifying yesterday, qualifying 2nd on the grid. A top 6 finish for the first time in his MotoGP career possible to say today. You'd have to say so, given what we've already seen from Marco Bezzecchi in a highly impressive rookie season. And his teammate Luca Marini starts alongside. On the weekend, Valentino Rossi, his number 46, was retired. He saw his 2 riders, the VR46 Ducatis of Bezzecchi and Marini, both qualify on the front row of the grid.
All 3 front row qualifiers, Gianantonio Bezzecchi and this man Luca Marini, not downplaying their chance or being too pessimistic pre-race, but it does look like long odds that either of them will be able to stay in the battle for the podium, with the better speed coming further down the field, certainly from that man Fabio Quartararo. Aleix Espargaro, Bastianini and Bagnaia look like the trio that have the best race pace going into this Grand Prix. But what a moment though that is for Fabio Di Giannantonio. He said it was a dream for him A dream realised yesterday. He'd always wanted to start a MotoGP race from pole position, and to do so right here in front of his home crowd in Mugello. Yesterday, days don't get any better than that, do they, for Fabio Di Giannantonio. So then Marc Marquez heads out to pit lane. This will be the last chance for a few weeks, a few months potentially, that he'll get this unique feeling of the nerves and the tension before a MotoGP race. As we remind you, the sad news emerging here in Mugello yesterday, Marc Marquez announcing that he will be taking another lengthy layoff. He heads to America in 2 days' time on Tuesday for surgery on that right humerus bone, the fourth operation in 18 months. No clear indication of when he will be back in action. Some experts saying the recovery process could be anything between 4 and 6 months, which would, of course, then rule Marquez out of the remainder of 2022. The most important news, though, is that he goes and gets this latest surgery. They've reliably informed him that this latest surgery to work on that right humerus bone should fix his long-standing movement problems with that right humerus bone, and he will be back to his best in 2023. We certainly hope so for the spectacle in MotoGP next year.
We wish Marc Marquez well. He starts from 11th on the grid here this afternoon. Overcast conditions, a lot of cloud cover over, but no threat of rain as far as we're aware for this Grand Prix here this afternoon. The coolest conditions by quite some way that we've seen in the weekend. There's the classy message from Aleix Espargaro on Instagram yesterday. I hope you can come back stronger, because everything you are living through is very tough. Keep pushing, Marc, with that image of the iconic save from Marc Marquez into Lorenzo Corner at Jerez as they were battling with each other for the final podium position. MotoGP will miss Marc Marquez as he takes this leave of absence to correct his right humerus. We certainly, as I say, wish him well. Can he go out for the sort of short-term future, at least, with a bang here this afternoon from row 4?
Yeah, he said yesterday, I don't enjoy riding at the moment. I'm suffering a lot. It's a lot of pain. I don't have power. I can't ride like I want. I'm starting to injure other parts of my body, including my left shoulder, because he's overcompensating. I'm pushing too much with the left arm. Put simply, he can't go on riding like this anymore, damaging that left shoulder. He's not enjoying life, he's not enjoying racing. So Marc Marquez felt like it was inevitable that he had to take the drastic action to step away from the MotoGP World Championship here in 2022 and have that latest surgery in America at some point next week. Back in the present then, what lies in store here in this 23-lap Oakley Grand Prix of Italy? Aleix Espargaro's weekend started off in great fashion. He announced prior to practice on Friday that he's staying put with Aprilia. No great surprise given his sensational form so far this year. He will be with Aprilia in 2023 and 2024. And what a special moment then for this young man. Fabio Di Giannantonio comes to the head of a MotoGP Grand Prix for the very first time. It's only the second pole position of the Giannantonio's Grand Prix career. The last one he had was back in Misano in 2019 in Moto2, so his last one was on home soil as well. Excellent record here in the smaller classes, does the Giannantonio. 3 podiums in 5 previous appearances, including his memorable first podium here back in 2016 in the Moto3 World Championship. What a year it's been so far for the Gresini Ducati squad. A pole here for the Giannantonio, and as Lewis mentioned, can Bastianini, coming from 10th, make it a 4th win of the season to really keep his early championship charge firmly on course here in Italy.
The 3 riders that most seem to suggest had the superior race pace. Enea Bastianini, as mentioned, one of them. The Ducati, the factory Ducati, the Lenovo team bike of Pecco Bagnaia, starting from the middle of row 2. And Aleix Espargaro, who starts 7th on the factory Aprilia on row 3. He starts in 7th, so 5th, 7th and 10th for the 3 riders who many expect to have the superior race pace. So the big question in these early stages are how quickly can they get themselves to the front with the 2 rookies on the front row. Luca Marini, of course, who's a veteran by the standards of the front row this afternoon. Of course, it's the 3rd front row start of his MotoGP career. They're going to be so difficult to overtake, of course, because they have such great straight line speed, those Ducatis, down the main straight. And, of course, 2 more on the second row. Johan Zarco starts 4th ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. The second time this season, of course, we've had Ducatis lock out the first 5 places on the grid. This last happened, of course, in Austin. Confirmation of your grid then. Di Giannantonio on pole position ahead of Bezzecchi and Marini. Johan Zarco heads row 2 ahead of Pecco Bagnaia and the reigning world champion Fabio Quartararo. He leads, remember, by by 4 points from Aleix Espargaro, who starts next up in 7th. He heads row 3 ahead of Takaki Nakagami, who is the leading Honda on the grid, and Pol Espargaro, who starts 9th. Enea Bastianini completes your top 10 on the grid ahead of Marc Marquez and Jack Miller, who was knocked out by Marquez in qualifying 1 yesterday. He's promoted up into 12th, as is Michele Pirro to 13th. He's the wild card on the Aruba Ducati because Jorge Martin was given a 3-place grid penalty following irresponsible riding in free practice 3. Miguel Oliveira is the first of the KTMs in 15th ahead of his teammate Brad Binder. Joan Mir is the first of the Suzukis back in 17th. They've had a rotten weekend. Alex Marquez is 18th ahead of Remy Gardner and Darren Binder, with Alex Rins back in 21st. Lorenzo Savadori, who's wildcarding for Aprilia, starts 22nd ahead of Franco Morbidelli and Maverick Vinales, who started and finished on the wrong tyres really in qualifying yesterday. He chopped and changed between slicks and wets and got it all wrong. Ralph Fernandez is 25th and Andrea Dovizioso starts 26th and last at a circuit, of course, he won at 5 years ago.
The famous helicopter sweep towards San Donato, turn 1 here at this majestic Mugello circuit. Round 8 of the World Championship coming up very, very shortly. The first all-Italian front row since the Red Bull Ring at 2016, when that front row was Andrea Iannone, Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso. The front row on that occasion is on the back row today, as Lewis just confirmed. The first time 2 rookies have had a 1-2 in a Premier Class Grand Prix since Hoy Lorenzo and James Tozen in Qatar way back in 2008. As we look at the overhead shot above the grid, some interesting tyre news emerging here. Initial tyre news coming from Michelin. Maverick Vinales on the hard front, Aleix Espargaro hard front, likewise Lorenzo Savadori, hard fronts for Marc Marquez, Brad Binder, Miguel Oliveira, Ralph Fernandez and Fabio Quartararo. This is coming to the grid. Everybody on the medium rear tyre apart from Vinales, Bastianini, the Gian Antonio, the poleman, Pol Espargaro, Taki Nakagami, Alex Marquez, they've all gone for the soft rear tyre. That could change, but that's some initial tyre news breaking here in Mugello. Let's quickly pop down to Simon Crafar on the grid with the Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi. 5 Ducatis at the front of the grid. Simon, down to you.
Yes, Davide, your machines, all of them have looked super strong this weekend. Can you give us your thoughts, your concerns going into this race?
Yeah, it will be very important to have a good start and trying to pull away for Pecco, while Jack has to push a lot since the first lap. I see, as you know, the Aprilia very aggressive, so we'll see what it's going to be, but having so many Ducati in front, I think that could be something that help us for the podium.
One more thing, Davide, the difference in temperature today from previous days and also the lack of time in FP4, is it a concern tyre choice or was it really clear?
Yeah, it's absolutely clear for the rear tyre, that I guess that is medium for all the grid, while somebody was preferring the hard in front, but I think that the drop of the temperature from yesterday to today could let people think about like we did, then we'll see what it will be the choice.
Thank you, Davide.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Down in pit lane, down on the grid, of course, as the pre-race ceremony begins. Always a popular race on the MotoGP calendar, and an Italian flavour to the build-up to the MotoGP race, which is just a quarter of an hour away from getting underway. As mentioned, an all-Italian front row of the grid for the Italian Grand Prix. Will we see Italian success? Will we see an Italian rider, an Italian bike taking victory in the Italian Grand Prix? No lack of contenders for them at the front of the field. First Yamaha, of course, starting from 6th on the grid. Aprilia will lead their challenge from the 3rd row of the grid. Honda join them on the 3rd row. KTM have their work cut out, as do Suzuki. So Italian flavour to the front of this field, and the odds are that we are likely to see an Italian success. But will it be a rider, a machine, or both that is succeeding at the end of 23 laps of Mugello? We're just a quarter of an hour away from lights out.
And while the pre-race show continues at the head of the grid, the Racing Together motto there, Aleix Espargaro certainly enjoying whatever tunes he's listening to. Hopefully he's listening to the band at the front of the grid here as he waits to talk to Spanish TV. Aleix Espargaro, he did confirm yesterday there's been some upgrades have appeared here from the Wally factory in Aprilia. We have a new engine, it's super smooth, very easy on the power delivery, and that's the reason why Aleix Espargaro will race Aprilia's upgraded engine here today in the 23-lap Grand Prix. Well, as you mentioned, there was some sad news emerging from Repsol Honda yesterday. The news that Marc Marquez will step away indefinitely from the MotoGP World Championship for more corrective surgery on that damaged right humerus. We wish him well, of course, with the operation and his rehabilitation. Let's get the pre-race thoughts ahead of this Mugello Grand Prix. Repsol Honda boss Alberto Puig and Simon.
Alberto, can you please give us your thoughts going into this race?
Difficult, always. Mugello is very complicated. If you are lucky and you can stay in a group, things are much easier, you know, because you just... It's really much more easier, but important is the first 2 laps, not to lose ground. I mean, to lose too much gap with the top guys, and important to have a good start in this circuit. From here to the first braking point, there's quite a long distance, so you have to be good in the first gear when you shift up and see if you're lucky down the straight.
Thank you, Alberto.
Yeah, thanks to Alberto Puig. Paul Espargaro then. And he'll be flying the flag for HRC for much of the remainder of 2022, with Marquez's return unlikely this season, you feel. HRC do, of course, have former Moto2 world champion Stefan Bradl as their test rider. He's been their go-to man when Marc Marquez has been unavailable since 2020 and some parts of 2021. So Stefan Bradl likely to be the HRC pick in Repsol Honda for the remainder of the season. The Ducati fans, well, they're out in force, and no great surprise. It has certainly loved life in qualifying yesterday with the top 5, the Gian Antonio, Bezzecchi, Marini, Johan Zarco and this man, Pecco Bagnaia. He said pre-weekend, I have to redeem myself, not just for the mistake here in Mugello last year when he crashed out on lap 2 at Arrabbiata 2 while leading, but for the big blunder 2 weeks ago in Le Mans when he crashed out while on the podium in France. There is Marc Marquez then. As we mentioned, he'll miss these special moments, the build-up to a MotoGP race, those unique butterflies that you get in the stomach for Marc Marquez. He won't get that feeling potentially maybe until 2023 and the start of next season. It's been a tough weekend so far for the factory Suzuki team. What can they do with Joan Mir starting 17th and Alex Rins way down in 21st place? Let's hear from Team Suzuki X-Star boss Livio Supo.
Livio, we're used to seeing the Suzukis further back on the grid and coming through towards the podium, but this weekend they're so far back, I genuinely can't see them getting through to the podium. I'm hoping I'm wrong. What do you believe will happen?
Yeah, first of all, I'm trying to convince Carmelo to change to reverse the circuit so we can start in front. Sure, it has been a difficult day yesterday, difficult condition, tricky condition, and unfortunately both riders didn't get the right momentum to be fast. But, you know, we have seen in Portimao, Alex started from really back and do anyway a great race. So you never know. This morning warm-up, they both were, especially Alex, felt quite comfortable on the bike. For Johan, it's been more difficult weekend so far. But also last year was not easy till Sunday, and Sunday was on the podium. So let's wait and see.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Livio Supo, then boss of the factory Suzuki team. Joan Mir said it's been a nightmare weekend throughout, his worst weekend of the season so far. What can he rescue then from the middle of that 6th row?
Here's Luca Marini then going from the outside of the front row. Huge pressure, of course, on his shoulders, carrying a lot of the support, of course, is half-brother Valentino Rossi. This is the first MotoGP race, of course, that we've come to at Mugello without Valentino Rossi on the grid. Well, let's get some early pre-race thoughts then. It's been a difficult start to the weekend, a difficult race lying ahead for the KTM squad. Brad Binder starts in 16th on the grid, just behind his teammate Miguel Oliveira. So what are the chances of KTM's charging through the field? Pit Buyers with Simon.
Pit, can you give us your thoughts, what you think your boys can do today?
This was not my plan for the weekend, but I think we need to rely a lot on the racecraft of the Brad attack. So I think Brad is ready to do an aggressive race start and a strong first lap, and then I think we still can ride for some some good position. Miguel feels quite good. I mean, you need to start more in the front to ride for the top positions, but I'm sure we can bring them both into the top 10, and that's the target for the moment.
Thank you, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you to Pit Byra. A Brad attack then coming. That's a lovely message from Fabio Quartararo. Get well soon to Ayumu Sasaki. Hashtag little bro, I think I saw there as well in that message. Ayumu Sasaki was involved in a really nasty accident in free practice 2, where he crashed during that session, high-sided coming out of Correntire. He was tagged by Jaume Masia in that session. And Fabio Quartararo, very, very close friends with Ayumu Sasaki, so a lovely message of support for the young Japanese rider as we hope and wish for him for a speedy recovery from his injury.
So we're getting set to hear a rendition of the Italian national anthem as we continue the countdown to this Oakley Grand Prix of Italy, the special ceremony which now takes place ahead of every Grand Prix, with the MotoGP trophy stand, the prize for the race here today. That's what they're all fighting for. We'll pause now for the national anthem. An amazing rendition then of the Italian national anthem as the grid ceremony gets completed. What a season so far in 2022 it's been for Aprilia. Their best result ever in Mugello is a third for Jamie McWilliams 22 years ago, back in 2000. Aleix Espargaro is making a habit of finding himself in the top 3 though recently in MotoGP. Let's hear the pre-race thoughts of Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola with Simon.
Massimo, you've had an incredible season so far, and now even Ducati top bosses are pointing out your machine as a threat today. How do you feel about it?
A bit disappointed for yesterday, because we fuck up completely with Maverick, and with Aleix was not really the best. I think he did a good job, but you know, when you lose the second row for 1 millisecond, you need to spot, you know, everything that you can get it. So, by the way, this morning we were very fast. Hopefully the weather and the condition will stay like this. If it's like this, I think we can recover position. And, you know, first corner here at San Donato is a bit of a gamble, so let's see. But it's going to be fun.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Massimo Rivola. Just a quick apology for some of the language used there by Massimo after Maverick Vinales' eventful qualifying. It was a high-pressure situation, wasn't it, in those 2 qualifying sessions yesterday, with rain spots falling and the riders attacking and going for hot laps on slick tyres. Joan Mir, then, as he mentioned, pre-race, it's been a nightmare weekend for the 2020 MotoGP World Champion, trying to arrest some recent poor form, 2 DNFs in the last 3 Grand Prix. He was 3rd here last year from 9th on the grid, but he's much, much further back here today, 17th for Mir.
He hasn't been able to stop the bike. That's been his main problem that he's said to us in the interviews throughout the weekend. He's struggling to stop the bike. He was also struggling in the longer corners. But for Joan Mir, he's going to have to really come from an awful long way back if he's to salvage a good result. What could help him, though, are the cooler temperatures we have here for race day. Joan Mir has generally found life a lot easier when the temperatures have been a bit cooler in the Grand Prix. But we have some late changes on the tyre front just ahead of the Grand Prix, including to the poleman, Fabio Di Gianantonio. He has switched to the medium rear Michelin tyre. He'd initially gone for the soft. He has swapped to the medium rear. And a couple of changes further back on Yamaha's. Darren Binder and Franco Morbidelli have switched to the harder front tyre option. Franco Morbidelli had originally gone for the medium tyre.
So the safety car pulls away. 5 minutes to lights out here in Mugello. We just saw there Enea Bastianini trying to be just the 6th Italian to win back-to-back race in the modern 4-stroke era. Valentino Rossi did it, Andrea Dovizioso did it. Likewise, Pecco Bagnaia, Loris Capirossi and Marco Melandri. Another win today will go down very, very well in front of his home crowd. The pressure building. What's going through the thoughts of that young man there, Fabio Di Gianantonio? He's never been in this situation before. The pressure cooker atmosphere building as he starts from pole position in MotoGP for the first time in his home Grand Prix. Jorge Martin on the Prima Pramac Ducati finds himself down in 14th place. He qualified in 11th place yesterday, but confirmation on your screens, irresponsible riding by the Spaniard in FP3 yesterday morning means he got relegated back down to 14th place. He's going to have surgery immediately after the next Grand Prix in Barcelona to correct a nerve in that right hand, which has been problematic over the last couple of weeks for the Spaniard.
Concentration then for Marc Marquez. This will be the last Grand Prix that we see him start for a few months. Can he chase down the poleman, Fabio Di Gianantonio? This is a feeling like no other for the young Italian.
So it's the first all-Italian front row MotoGP since the Austrian Grand Prix 6 years ago, back in 2016. They've all gone for the same Michelin compound tyres, medium front, Michelin rear tyre. Luca Marini then starts his home Grand Prix from 3rd place, joined on the front row by his Muni VR46 Ducati teammate Marco Bezzecchi, but it's a career first MotoGP pole position for Fabio Di Gianantonio. Up next, MotoGP in Italy.